Hello there, this is my video on race and dreams, take 37. This has turned out to be a more difficult endeavor than I realized at first, but I feel called to do it, so let's see if I can get it right. Really want to be approaching this subject with the appropriate amount of care and not too much academic kind of takes on it, and yet I want to be giving like enough information for it to make sense. So yeah, here goes. There is a common practice in the dream work world, the world of dream analysis, to say, like in a book or when you're analyzing someone's dream, that if they dream of a black person, that this represents, often it's going to be the shadow, or sometimes I've heard death. James Hillman says black people represent death. Others have said fear and so forth. So I just really want to address this. It's something that's bothered me for many years, and here I have a platform, so I'm going to talk about it. First off, the red flag is that it's obviously being directed toward white people. If a black person were to dream of a black person, I doubt the same analyst would say that it represented the shadow in their dream. So this is a problem because there are definitely people of color who are interested in dream work and psychology and spirituality and, like human growth on the soul level. And I feel like when we use methods like this or put it in our work, that it turns away people who would otherwise benefit, which is a problem because, I really feel like dreaming and lucid dreaming is our birthright. It's a wonderful tool for healing and for learning and growth, and it's available to all of us. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a little bit of work that we have to do. So turning off a huge segment of the population that could otherwise benefit is a problem. And that's really, the fact that they might be turned off is minor in comparison to just adding to the messages that people of color get about, what it means to not be white, and how they might internalize this, and it could be damaging for their sense of self. So I really wish we could talk about it differently, and yet I don't think we can say that when a white person dreams of a person of color, that it never represents shadow material. Undoubtedly, white people have projected their shadow material onto people of color, and so yes, when they appear in the psychic material, at times it seems to be so. I recently workshopped a dream of my own in my dream group that I'll share. I'm in a grocery store and I run into my supervisor, who's a little white lady with white hair, whose name is also Catherine. And as we're talking, planning to meet up, she seamlessly transforms into a large, naked black man with a grotesque scar like this big on his abdomen that's been stylized like a botched kind of cosmetic surgery to look like a humongous open vagina. And in the dream, we make plans, and then I go off, I realize I've left my baby in the aisle. And that's how it ends. So how to look at this figure? I think it's clear, the scar being repulsive, the nakedness, it seems to be a shadow figure, and I don't feel good about it when a person of color appears in this way in my dreams. I feel that my dreams have generated a racist caricature. So why? I want to talk a little bit about something that James Baldwin said that I feel is an answer. It's Jungian in a sense, but it's not as, it doesn't come off racist the way that Jung's work does. Jung has said that that people of African descent lack a certain layer of their minds that makes them emotionally and psychologically inferior to people of European descent. James Baldwin said, he's addressing white people, and I'll put the full text of the quote below and a link to the interview. This is 1963. He said, basically, like, I'm just a man, but if you need me to be an inferior man, then you really need to find out why. And this is not a small thing. This is going to decide the future of not just race relations in this country, but in this country in general. Why in your hearts you gotta search why you need this inferior person to project your psychic material onto. So in my dream group, we talked about how the vagina on the man is right over the liver, and I've actually been targeting the liver, my own liver, with herbs recently to try to get to some anger issues, because in some systems like traditional Chinese medicine, the liver represents, or that's like where anger will show up. So here he is with the vagina over the liver, and it's like this anger, which I've had so much trouble like understanding. I've worked through my trauma extensively for a decade now, and yet I know there's reasons I could be angry, but this feels like something else. So what is it? Like, what is the root of this anger? I'm always asking, like, trying to get under. So what's the root of this anger? And I feel like I just can't get there. And I think that maybe the reason it's so hard to penetrate is that it goes back really far beyond me. Beyond just like my family of origin. I feel like perhaps this is ancestral, going back many, many generations to Europe. This message has come to me in other dreams, even recently. A couple nights after we came up with that interpretation, I had a dream that I needed to do some work involving the Celtic people. So the vagina in this sense is like, it's like a point of entry to this impenetrable anger that I feel could be rooted in trauma that has its origin back when it was Europeans fighting themselves, different groups like the Celtic people fighting the Roman people, and losing their culture, losing their languages, losing their religious practices, losing many, many people, and losing their humanity. Because when we try to ask ourselves, like, how can an entire race of people become so numb that they are participating or at least complicit in a system like slavery, and then further from there, just the entire system of oppression of people of color in this country. We have more available examples, I think. Like, we could look at indigenous North Americans, and we can see how the total loss of their culture and many of their people has led to, poverty that wasn't there before, spiritual poverty that wasn't there before, violence and addiction problems that wasn't there before. It's really creates a void that lasts through the generations, and I think is very difficult to restore. And so what I feel like James Baldwin is saying, you know, he can't do this work for us. He can say, here's the general direction. I think you as a people collectively need to look at your psyches and see where the wounding is, where this numbness comes from, and where this need to project inferiority onto other people comes from. But I can't take the next steps for you. That's for you to dig around and do. And I guess the good news is we have basically infinite potential by using our dreams, by going into lucid dreams, going into just, incubating dreams, working through them, and really being conscious about it, while also supplementing that psychic work with learning and other practices. So that, I feel like, is the silver lining, is like, you have this direction, you have these tools. Can you take them and use them to bring about more unity in the world? And like, I know it feels like maybe I'm exaggerating what is possible, but I feel that individuals, and not all individuals will be called to do this, in the same way that I believe not all individuals are called to be engaging in activism. But this is your own sort of form of activism, or your own form of like reparations or something like this that you can do from yourself. And energetically, I absolutely believe that when we do psychic work, ancestral work, and so on, that this has a ripple effect that is potentially more powerful than achieving some change here in the present outside world. So that is my offering to you. And I hope it makes sense. Please generate discussion in the comments below or email me. And I look forward to hearing from you. Maybe it won't take me so long to make the next video, but here's this one. Thanks for watching.